As indicated previously, my whole aim in this little talk was to provide a practical insight and management plan for an individual experiencing their own personal turmoil. For the sake of expediency, I bundled stress, depression, and anxiety into one entity. I recognize, and I have indicated previously, that there are some magnificent works out there that deal in detail with all the various aspects of these three important conditions. For the sake of completion, I will briefly define what I and most lay people understand by stress, depression, and anxiety. Stress is, in simple terms, a feeling of being overwhelmed with more than one can cope with. The reality of modern life is that people within your own family, work environment, and social circle will keep loading on the pressure and demands on your resources and time. Without meaning to trivialize your own personal circumstances, this pressure will continue to be relentlessly applied until you either call a stop to it or crash. The world can be very demanding, and it is important to understand that as much as we like to please people and not be selfish, you need to understand that nobody is indispensable and we all have our limits. The sooner you and the people you live and work with recognize and accept those limits, the happier you will all be. Stress and everything that it means is often the start of a decline in your physical and mental resilience. It often progresses to depression and anxiety unless it can be recognized and dealt with early. In terms of depression, there is no shortage of information on this topic. It is a serious condition that can involve a lifetime of study. The library and internet has dozens of resources that list various criteria that can help you define whether you are in fact clinically depressed and the severity of your condition. While resolutely guarding against trivializing this most serious of conditions, for the purposes of a life wobble, most of us recognize it as a feeling of sustained sadness. It is usually associated with a loss of motivation, unexplained tiredness, and even tearfulness, an aversion to the pursuit of happiness, and poor sleep and eating habits. It is not a condition to be taken lightly, but following the principles outlined in the earlier chapters that I have discussed will almost always help restore your health. The bottom line is to be honest with yourself and recognize the early warning signs. Seek competent professional advice early in the process and follow through with any advice that you may have been given. Just as critical as depression, anxiety is a feeling of intense dread and apprehension. It may be accompanied by sweaty palms, palpitations, tremors, unexplained weight loss, and poor sleep habits. Stress and anxiety often are part of the same spectrum and feed on each other. Again, it is critical to seek professional help as early as possible because it may be necessary to eliminate physical dysfunction such as an overactive thyroid gland that can cause similar, eminently treatable symptoms. Like depression, anxiety originating from an emotional upheaval has to be managed holistically. Finally, I would just like to make a comment about life at the present. After you have overcome an emotional, psychological upheaval and turmoil. Learn to seize the day. Live like there is no tomorrow. However, be realistic and plan and prepare for the inevitable cyclical downtime. I hope I've been able to give you some useful strategies for coping. Thank you.